How are Israel and Lebanon not, by definition, at war right now? Because it isn't being done by the Lebanese government or army. Diplomats are very careful in their word selection. The way they use words doesn't always match the way the general public does. It is war. It is a real war, but the government of Lebanon does not want to respond. Because neither Lebanon's military nor government is involved in the fighting, Israel is at war with a terrorist organization inside Lebanon. It recognizes that the missiles shot from Lebanon are not coming from the Lebanese military or government, but rather from a group within that country. It's like when the US used drone strikes in foreign countries to kill terrorists. The US was not at war with those countries, they merely killed terrorists existing within those countries. Same with the raid to kill bin Laden in Pakistan. It happens more frequently than you would think in countries that cannot police armed groups within their borders. Because Lebanon by all means a failed state that has lost the monopoly on violence to Hezbollah, so international law is dealing with a situation that it's not prepared for, and standard methods don't work. If Hezbollah was Lebanon government, Israel and Lebanon is at war, but Hezbollah is an Iranian-backed militia occupied Lebanon, and I don't think international law has a framework for this situation. It is a war, and don't believe that it's Hezbollah, not Lebanon nonsense. Hezbollah is an official part of their administration at this point and has been for over a decade. Israel was fighting against a terrorist group. People in Lebanon that weren't from the group got the normal pagers that don't explode. People who were from the group got bomb pagers. However, these terrorists had children and wives, so it's possible pagers were handed over to civilians and handed over to their families even if Israeli intelligence agencies didn't intend for that. People randomly firing rockets into Israel is just another Wednesday to them. The US in Vietnam was not a war, it was a police action. War is supposed to be officially declared to be a war. They are and have been since Israel was founded. War is an imaginary term. Historians sometimes retroactively decide that a war started at X date because neither side ever bothered to declare war, but at some point the conflict was definitely a war. The US hasn't declared war since WW2, yet we've had many wars since. Israel and Lebanon definitely aren't at war because Israel is both not attacking the assets of Lebanon's military, but that same entity isn't retaliating nor planning to retaliate against Israel. Think about this too. The US routinely bombs other countries. Sometimes it's terrorists and we have permission. Sometimes it's terrorists and we don't have permission. Sometimes it's against the state's military and that starts a war. Sometimes it's against their military and it doesn't start a war. Overall, a state of war is subjective unless someone declares war, and in the modern era declaring war at all is falling out of favor. Lebanon has Hezbollah as a kind of state within the state funded by Iran with their own schools, social security for martyrs, etc. Hezbollah is firing rockets and constantly attacking Israel. Israel fires back and inevitably hits people as stuff that not only contain Hezbollah units, but also civilians. The Lebanese government military are currently not involved, but at some point it's inevitable that they defend their country, even if Israel's strikes are absolutely justified by thousands of rockets being fired from Lebanese soil. The leaders of Lebanon and Israel have yet to declare the conflict a war. It's a fight between Hezbollah and Israel. They are. In modern times, literally no one calls their wars wars. It's always conflict, engagement, incident, special operation, peacekeeping act, etc. They always find some dumb technicality to avoid calling it by the real name. The word war triggers public more, makes it really hard to downplay the events. Israel has accepted and normalized rocket attacks on themselves with their Iron Dome system, allowing them to not escalate into a full-blown war. Because it's still not a ground war, mainly because the Israelis are scared of a repeat of 2006. War is definitely going on. Israel is at war with Lebanon since 1948. They never actually signed a peace treaty. There were several ceasefire agreements, but never an official peace, and I'm pretty sure Lebanon doesn't even officially recognize Israel. BTW, same goes for most of Israel's neighbors. Syria also never signed a peace treaty despite de facto not fighting Israel since '73. They only signed a truce, but never a peace deal, and officially it is at war. Only Egypt and Jordan are officially at peace with Israel. Border conflicts happen, and many don't last more than a month or never grow in intensity. While technically warfare, that's not necessarily the same as being at war, which has certain implications, such as cutting of diplomatic ties and large or full mobilization. Also, at the moment, Israel is fighting Hezbollah. Lebanon does want to be the one to declare war, as that would put them in bad standing with the US, nor does it want another big war. But that might not be an option for Lebanon. Israel's pager bombings hurt a lot of civilians, and will do so again if Lebanon lets them, just like Israel claims it has a right to defend itself, so does Lebanon. And that includes Hezbollah and the government.